It is very hard to escape the fact that this is an election year. Right now, the White House senior staff is asking themselves what it will take to win another 4 years in office. But behind the scenes, the executive branch is also preparing for what happens after the election and the possibility they'll have to pack up and make way for a new administration. The Partnership for Public Service, a Washington-based nonprofit, breaks the transition down into 3 phases: pre-election, which is already underway, post-election, and finally post-inauguration. Max Stier joins me now. He's president and CEO at the Partnership for Public Service. Max, it's good to see you. Before we get into the details, why, many people are probably saying, in heaven's name, are they starting it so early? Why is it important to start this process so early?
Well, it's a great question. And part of the answer is because the law requires it. And the other part of the answer is that it's actually an incredibly important process that takes a long time to get right. Most people, as you just noted, are focused on the election. The reality is that you run to not just win the election, but to run the government. And to take over the government is an enormous task. You're talking about north of 4 million people when you include the military, hundreds of operating entities, 4,000 political appointees, trillions of dollars to spend. And you really only have 70 plus days after election time to complete all of your planning to be ready on day one, right after the inauguration. So there are 3 things that have to go on. The challenger needs to, at the same time as they're running for the presidency, they need a separate operation to prepare for transition. The incumbent president needs to oversee a process, as you just noted, as required by law, to prepare for the possibility of losing. And the smart incumbent also runs a separate process for the possibility that they're going to win. And all those 3 things need to be taking place really right now.
And you mentioned that it's a law you helped get passed, as I recall. There was a time when they didn't have these kinds of things. And just to underscore, give us a little more on what's happening right now, but underscoring the enormity of the job that is required to run the presidency and what would have been left up in the air if there wasn't this legislation.
So really, again, such an incredibly important process and hidden from view for most folks, and of enormous significance. So the best example of this is the 9/11 Commission said that one of the core contributing factors to the disaster of 9/11 was the fact that our transition process hadn't worked right, and that former President Bush had not had his national security team in place early enough to be ready for a crisis of this sort. So this is what's at stake. It's really about the safety of our nation. The moment of transition is a point of maximum vulnerability for our country. And it's also a critical moment for ensuring if a candidate is smart, that they're actually ready to go from the beginning to do the planning, to do actually complete the plans and the promises that they've made on the campaign trail. So it is incredibly complicated. You do have to begin early. You have to have separate resourcing to make it possible to do it, because if you're having your election apparatus try to do this, or your governing apparatus, those in office today, you're never going to have that as the priority. And the work is, the best metaphor I can give is sort of the universe pre-Big Bang. You have the entire government operations being planned for by a very small group that post-inauguration will then be responsible for running the whole show. A global operation with unbelievably complex challenges that we face and only getting more and more complicated. Pre this legislation, this was done only by presidents who had the foresight and the willingness to make the investment. The first president to do the handoff most effectively was former President Bush. He was also, I think, motivated by what he saw as the risk to our nation in the post 9/11 world, and the understanding that maybe he didn't get the best support that he wanted when he was coming in. But that is now required by law, and there are all sorts of resources that are provided to a challenger. What's interesting is actually an incumbent president has never understood that they have actually an even bigger opportunity to create value out of transition planning, because they have the opportunity to learn from their first term to do the second term even better. And historically, second term presidents have seen their 5th year as something of a drought. So this is sort of the new hill that has to be climbed.
And finally, Max, people would think, well, the Biden and Trump campaigns are going at it pretty hard. Are they cooperating yet? And what have you seen in the past situations where bitter political rivals have nevertheless put down their swords and done what's right for the country, which is to take this stewardship obligation to run the government seriously?
Yes. And so, look, I think one hopes that presidents and incoming presidents will coordinate because they understand that it's in the public's interest that they lay down their swords, as you said. The history is mixed. I will be direct on this. In 2020, we saw a very unhelpful transfer of power. I hope that will not be repeated. I don't anticipate that it will be. And I hope that, again, both candidates will make the investments necessary for them to be good presidents, not just good campaigners.
Max Stier with the Partnership for Public Service. Thank you so much, Max.
Thank you.